A little bit blurry. Let's see. So the props that I have available today are the usual. Couple of yoga blocks, yoga strap, a blanket, a bolster nearby. Let's go ahead and find a seat that works for you. And we'll take a few moments just to make sure the seat will work, that we're comfortable. Sit up on something if you like. Perhaps we bring the left palm on top of right or right on top of left with thumbprints touching, whichever feels most instinctive in your body in this moment. Letting the eyes rest. Letting the body sigh. And perhaps we begin to find a little bit of movement. And it might be just a very subtle shift forward and back. Or perhaps a shift side to side. We may slide our hands down to the knees. Let the heart rise. It doesn't have to be much. And as we exhale, very gently rounding down. Let's rock on forward, heart rising, chin may rise. And as we exhale, rounding down. Let's roll ourselves up, spin the palms to face forward, inviting movement into toes, movement into fingers. Inhale, circle the arms up. And as we exhale, rotating, twisting over to the right. And the head may nod. Checking in with the neck. Let's inhale back to center. And exhale, rotating second side. The head may nod. Let's inhale, come back to center, thumbs to forehead, thumbs to heart. Consider tipping forward, leaning forward, maybe hands on the ground, hands might be on props. Exploring a forward bend. We might find a little glide, a little weight shift side to side. We may be supporting the brow on the sides of the thumbs. Consider using the thumbs like a squeegee, just to massage out any tension. We might take a couple of fingers to the temples, drawing circles. And we may hook our thumbs into the cheekbones, slide the thumbs down into the cheekbones. You control the ductal pressure. So maybe there's a tiny nod. It might be very intense. Let the thumb knuckles slide out to the hinge of the jaw, circling at the jaw hinge. Give yourself a little nod. And we'll gradually, slowly make our way back up. Let's rock on back, trading the cross of the legs. So we have second leg now on top or in front. Palms facing forward. Inhale, circle the arms high. Let's look to the right. Let that right hand release. And we may slide the arm out to the side. Perhaps mobilizing fingers. Bending the elbow. We'll bring ourselves back to center. Palms facing forward. Inhale, circle the arms up. Looking left, let that left arm come down to the ground or onto a prop. We may slide the arm out to the side. And let's slowly rise all the way back up. Reach out through the legs, give a little wiggle to the knees. And let's come back in again, same leg on top, and try that forward bend on the second side. So this is still that second leg on top, checking in with that forward bend on the second side. Maybe there's a little shift side to side. Maybe a little head nod. Ooh, might be a lot more tension on that second favorite leg. And we'll rise back up. And as we do, consider pressing down into your blocks or hands down to the ground. We may plant the feet and roll ourselves up into a standing position. So head heavy, neck long. We might shift the hips a little bit side to side. We might bend the knees deeply or not. And let's inhale, rise halfway up. Perhaps walking the hands over to the right, maybe bending right knee, rolling left hip back, and I'm mirroring directionally. Full breathing. We'll bring it back to center. Find that length, and as we exhale, walking the hands over to the second side. So maybe left knee bending, rolling right hip back. Then we move back to center, tipping it, giving the head a little nod, put bend in the knees, rounding the back, and the arms may alternately crisscross as we roll up to stand. As we find our way to standing, let's circle the arms up and overhead and grab hold of the right wrist or right forearm. Draw up, find length. We may step that left foot both forward and out to the left a little bit. We might slide the right foot a little further back, perhaps tucking the toes, stretching into the toes. We might even find a little rotation left, maybe a little lean left. Bring it back to center. Shifting our weight a little side to side. We'll settle back at center, spin the palms forward, circle the arms up, switch the grip. So let's take a moment and just play with that weight shift to the right. So maybe we're angling the right toes just a little to the right, and we can send the left leg out to the side or a little bit back. And we may just go for length and side bend, maybe a little bit of rotation. What feels best in your body in this moment? Let's bring it back to center. Step the feet side to side and let the shoulders roll, finding movement through the shoulders. And then go the other way. Consider coming to the top short edge of your mat if you're not already there. Probably just me. Inhale, circle the arms up, and as we exhale, tipping in. And let's walk ourselves back into a down face dog. Pedaling through the heels, making that great stretch into the lower legs. We might wobble the hips side to side. We may step the feet a little wider than hips distance. And perhaps we wiggle the feet further back, fly on forward to high plank, getting into the toes more. Little shift forward, little shift back, let the knees land. Finding our way to the belly, lining the elbows up under the shoulders. So we may find a little glide, a little lean, side to side. As we exhale, let's release down and turn the head to the right. So we'll rest on the left cheek. We'll sweep the arms back, palms face up, and we may give the hips a little rock. Plant the hands, inhale, heart rising. And as we exhale, releasing back down. Turn the nose to the second side. Sweep the arms back, palms face up. We may give the hips a little rock. Plant the hands, heart rising, rolling back into a child's pose. So let those arms extend forward. We may be tenting the fingers. If the brow is hovering, feel free to grab a prop. You could use a cushion. You could use a folded towel or a yoga block. Sometimes we feel better about bending the elbows than having the arms straight ahead. So listen to your shoulders. And let's slowly start to rise on up to a kneeling position. We might want padding for the knees. We might be tucking padding underneath the knees, sliding those hands forward, and perhaps rounding the back into a cat pose. Now you can keep your hands down, or we might get really light on the fingertips. We may even shift our weight a little side to side. So we'll plant the hands, arching the back. We may sway the hips a little side to side. Moving back into cat. We may keep the hands down and press the hips back towards the heels. Moving forward, dipping into cow. So let's find neutral. Reach that right leg back, tuck the toes, pitch back through the heel. Now we may press down into the ball mound of the foot and hover the left knee, and we might stir our cauldron with that left knee, both directions. Let the knee land, release the right leg, second leg, press back through that left heel. Perhaps we're hovering that right shin, and we may just sway the leg, but maybe we're stirring that through, and then let that leg come on down. We'll land back to hands and knees, and consider drawing that right elbow in and reaching the right arm straight ahead alongside the ear. We may shift the weight into the right shin and press the left leg back. Now, if the hip's really rising up like mine is, see if you can roll it down, level your hips, and draw elbow to knee, and maybe you're moving that right arm beyond the hip. Inhale, extend, and exhale, rounding. Let's do one more. Inhale, reach it forward, exhale, round. Let's release the hand. Take a moment. As you feel ready, second side, bend that left elbow, reach the arm forward. Consider shifting weight into the left shin, reaching that right leg back, find that balance. Check the hips. If you're rolling the hip really high, drop it down. We'll draw the elbow to knee, but maybe we keep going. Maybe we reach the left fingers back beyond the hip. Inhale, extend, exhale, round. Inhale, extend, exhale, round. Let's land the hand, land the knee, tuck the toes, lift the hips. Down, face dog. Maybe we're moving knee padding off the mat and taking a walk. Feet to hands, hands to feet. Finding our way back into that standing forward fold. Put a little bend in the knees. Let the arms sway. Gradually finding our way back to stand. So we'll be coming to a one-legged balance. Please feel free to come to a wall if you like. We might be challenging our balance in the middle of the room. Root through that left foot. I'm mirroring, facing the camera in this direction. Bring that right leg up and give it a boost. Draw that knee high. And perhaps we circle the ankle. Go the other way. And we may drop the knee down a little lower and then circle from the hip and go the other way. And let's release, feel that weight shift a little side to side. Drop the weight to the right. Slide that second knee high, give it a little boost, shoulders back and down. Focus the gaze on something that won't move, letting the ankle rotate. Circle the ankle in the second direction. Let's release the shin, let the leg move a little lower. Experiment with circling through the hip. Extend the arms. What do you need to do to find balance and bring it back in? Make sure you trade direction. Maybe the foot touches down, and we just pick it back up. Let's release, shift the weight a little side to side. We'll come back up to that top short edge of the mat. Inhale, circle the arms high. And as we exhale, forward fold. Inhale, heart rising. We have right foot forward, left leg reaches back. So we'll lunge into that front knee. Back knee may touch down, it does not have to. And we don't have to hold right away. Maybe the body's asking for a little more motion. So we might extend and rebend. Please feel free to repeat that. We might extend and rebend. We might want to find that knee pattern for that back knee. We might prefer to point the toes. The knee might have an opinion. We might keep the toes tucked. We might slide the hands up onto the blocks. We could bring the blocks up higher. Maybe a little shift side to side, getting into those hips. Front of the left leg. Let's invite the hips to move further back and inchworm the right foot further forward. We'll rock back on the heel. And we may be tipping in. We may be folding in. Rolling that right hip back. Reaching forward through the crown of the head. And we'll lunge bend back into front knee. Bend the left hand wide. Consider tucking left toes, letting left leg rise, and we may be reaching right fingertips up in the air, moving into a twist. Let the hips rise, cycle that right arm overhead, find the blocks, hands on the blocks. We might tap step that left foot in a little bit, work the right leg closer to straight, staying up higher now, rolling that right hip back. Let's rebound that front knee. Navigate left foot forward, looking out. Exhaling, chest to thighs. Put a little bend in the knees. Inhale, circle the arms up. Exhale, thumbs to brow, thumbs to heart. So repeating second side. We'll circle the arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, heart rising. We'll keep left foot forward, reaching that right leg back. And we might just find a little movement forward and back, saying hello, getting into the toes, maybe bringing that right knee down. And maybe we're holding it, or perhaps we're shifting back and forth, sliding the hips back, bending back into that front knee. And just take your time. We might be grabbing that knee padding, eventually landing on the right knee, pointing the foot or tucking the toes. We might move our hands wider or higher. We might glide the hips a little side to side. And then reaching the hips back, inchworming or scooching that left foot further forward, maybe rocking back on the heel. We will take our time to bend back into front knee. Tuck the back toes, let that back knee rise. Widening right hand to the right. Cycle that left arm forward, take it high, find our twist. And let the hips rise, cycling the hands down. We can keep the hands on blocks or the ground if that feels better. Navigate that right foot close enough, maybe pivoting the right heel towards the left. So we're rolling that left hip back as we fold in. And then let's bend back into that front knee. Navigate the blocks forward, stepping back foot forward, looking out. Exhaling, chest to thighs. Bend the toes. Inhale, circle the arms up. Exhale, thumbs to brow, thumbs to heart. Let's keep hands on hips, right foot forward, stepping the left foot back. Heel could be lifted, but we might pivot that heel to the right, lunging into the front knee. The arms may rise. We might encircle the left wrist, left palm faces left, reach up, find length. We might find that little bit of rotating side bend over to the right, hugging the inner right thigh in towards midline. Let's inhale, rise up. Let the hands come down to the ground. Consider stepping back, down face dog. We may step the left foot closer to the right, reaching the right leg up in the air. The right knee may bend. The left heel may reach to the ground. Consider drawing that right knee in towards the chest, pivoting the knee towards the left wrist, left forearm. Reach that right leg back and high. Press up through the foot. Draw the knee in, and we may rotate the knee towards that left elbow. Reach the arm, the leg high. So let's step the foot forward between the hands. Pivot the back heel down. Circle the arms high, and we may find a steeple grip overhead. We might start to tip it forward, leaning forward. We can keep the arms overhead, or perhaps just place the hands on that front thigh. flirt with the idea of peeling the back heel up, and we might choose to send it back down. Now just check out what's in front of you. Make sure your head isn't going to hit anything if we come up higher. I'm actually going to scooch a little further back. So we might shift forward and raise that back leg up in the air. And perhaps we pull that top knee, that left knee back into the chest, rise up to stand. So we have that knee moving up to the chest. Feel free, give it a boost like we did earlier. Find balance, find breath. Try extending that leg straight out, rebending, releasing, shift out anything that needs it. So second side, left foot forward, right foot stepping back. Now the heel can stay up, the knee might come down. We might be pivoting that heel over towards the left toes fanning, arms rising. We may encircle that right wrist, right forearm, find a little more length. We may just side bend towards the left. We might find a little rotation, fan the toes, and a little side bend towards the left, hugging that inner thigh, left thigh in towards midline. Let's bring it back up to center. Carefully let those hands come down. Navigating back to down face dog. We'll slide the right foot in towards midline. And let the left leg rise. That top knee, that left knee may bend. The right heel might be descending down towards the ground. Draw the knee in towards the nose, pivoting the knee towards that right forearm. And then reach it back. Take the leg up in the air. Draw the knee into the chest, maybe to the right forearm. Bring that leg high. So we may be navigating that left foot forward between the hands and circling back up into that warrior one. We might find a steeple grip. We can stay there and tip it forward. We might bring the hands onto the thigh and peel the back heel up. Again, just make sure you're not going to hit your head on anything. We might be tap stepping, navigating that back leg off the ground. And then drawing that back knee, that right knee up to the chest. Find our way up to stand. We might give that knee a little boost. Rising up, find balance, find your focal point. And we may just press out through that right foot. Release, let the foot come back down to the ground, shift it out. So let's take a moment and step out, wide stance. I'm going to mirror in this direction. We'll pivot right toes to the right. We'll start to bend into that front knee, right forearm to the thigh, find your blocks, or maybe a nice block stack if you like. And we'll work that front leg closer to straight. Stacking left hip on top of the right. The left arm may rise. We may be bending into the front knee. Cycle that top arm overhead. Let the hands come down to the ground. Pivot the right toes forward. Finding our way into a wide-legged forward bend at center. Perhaps we're shifting the hips a little bit side to side. Let's inhale, rise up halfway, maybe even hands coming onto the blocks. Let's look to the right foot, angle the right toes to the right, and go for a lateral lunge. So we're bending the right knee a little. We're drawing up on the left thigh a lot. And let's bring it back up to center. Maybe spin your blocks higher if you're using blocks. Maybe bend the knees. Root down through the feet to rise up to stand. And let's pivot, left toes to the left. Starting to lunge into that front knee, we might be locating a block or two and extending that left leg. So right hip on top of left, right arm may rise. Turn the head that feels the best for your neck. Let's cycle that top arm overhead, bending, lunging into the front knee. Let the right hand come down. pivoting back through to center. Now, as we find center, we might choose to encircle the big toes, first 2 fingers and a thumb. So the elbows may be bending 90 degrees, draw up on the fronts of the thighs. Let's plant the hands and rise halfway up. We may have hands on blocks. Let's look to the left, angle the left foot to the left, and we'll go for that lateral lunge, second side. Let's bring it back up to center, pivot the toes in, feel free to spin the blocks up higher. The knees may bend a little. We might just heel, toe, feet in, then bend the knees. Perhaps take the blocks with you as we rise back up to stand. We'll step back up to the top short edge of the mat. There are blocks all over the place. I'm just going to reposition those. Let's keep right foot forward and step the left leg back. Bending into that front knee. We'll keep right hand on hip. Let that left arm rise. Start to reach forward again, like we're coming back into that warrior 3 variation, but take the right arm back. So we're going for that length. Keep reaching forward, let that left hand come down, and you're choosing, maybe left block, maybe we're moving the left block closer to the right block. We might choose the right block. Work that right leg closer to straight. Spin the palm to the right palm to the right. As we come into that revolved triangle, twisted triangle. We'll lunge bend back into that front knee. Take that right arm back, left arm forward. We'll bring ourselves back up to stand, trading sides. So left foot forward, right foot back. Let's lunge bend back into front knee. Take your time, left hand to the hip. Right arm may rise. We might be tipping forward, leaning forward. We may be reaching that left arm back. Let that right hand come down, and you're deciding where the hand's going to go as we extend the left leg, rotating, twisting left. Finding the spot where it feels right for you for now. And let's bend back into that front knee. So we're taking that top arm overhead and we're gradually making our way back up to stand, coming back up to that top short edge of the mat. The cat is pounding on the door. Yeah, he's just going to stand there. So from our standing position, let's go ahead and step back out, wide stance. Hands to hips, wrap the shoulders back, option to weave the hands together, maybe extend the arms. How do the shoulders feel about that? You can always just bring hands back to hips, putting bend back in the knees, hinge at the hips, tipping forward, leaning forward, maybe taking the bound arms overhead if that feels right in your body. Rebend the elbows, let the hands find the ground, and we'll rise halfway up. At your own rhythm, heel, toe, the feet back to hips distance. We'll put a little bend in the knees, hug the belly muscles in, rolling up to stand. So we've been here before, weight in the left foot, right leg rising. We're giving the knee a boost, but we're keeping just the right hand on the knee. Let the knee open out to the right, and that left arm may expand. We'll bring the knee back to center, scoop underneath the thigh, extend the leg. Rebend, release. So second side, dropping the weight down into right foot. Give that left knee a little boost. Find midline. We lose our balance, we just come back. As you feel ready, we may open left knee to the left. We might be expanding, right arm out to the right. Let's bring the knee back to center, scoop under the thigh, re-extend the leg. Rebending, releasing, shifting it out. So now is a good time to locate your strap. Find that, have that near your mat. And let's walk ourselves back into dog. And then release down onto the knees and slide the hips to one side. So we've got that strap. We are going to come onto our back. If your floor is chilly, make sure maybe you expand your nest area a little bit, maybe put a blanket down. Let's make our way onto our back body. And invite that left thigh into the chest. Give yourself a little rock. Grab the strap, bring it around the ball mound of the foot and reach the leg straight up in the air. And even though we've done quite a bit of forward bending, this might still feel pretty different. Drawing down the little toe side of left foot. And then let's invite the leg into a half happy baby. So we're bending the knee towards 90 degrees. And let's keep just the left hand on the strap. We might expand the right arm out to the right and let the left leg open out to the left. And you can certainly have a prop under the leg. You might just rest the leg on the rung of a chair or the seat of a chair. Let's rebend the knee and draw the leg across the body. So you're starting to move to the right. You're rocking onto the outer right leg and we're holding the strap or we're holding the foot and the leg. So we can absolutely keep that left leg bent. And we're keeping it pretty high. Take your time to breathe around the hip. And we may be extending that left leg over to the right. Now, we might go back and forth. So maybe it feels better in your body, like we did in our lunge earlier. Maybe it feels better to go back and forth. We'll repeat this though. So let's come back into that half happy baby. Find your fullness of breath. We'll be releasing the right arm and perhaps expanding the left leg out to the left. And again, we can absolutely keep that leg higher up. Now the right leg, the right knee can remain bent. And you might just keep the knee pointing up to the ceiling. For some of us, it might feel nice to let the weight roll out to the right towards the little toe side of the foot. Some of us might heel toe the right foot wider and let that right knee tip into the left. So maybe this feels good in that right hip. It should not feel, you should not be feeling it in the knee. So you don't want to be feeling pressure or stretching in the knee. So if we tip that right knee in, we'll bring it back up towards the ceiling before we return the left leg to half happy baby. And then we'll rock back to the right again. And we may just pause and support that foot. We might be reaching the leg out and we might even be sweeping the toes up towards the head, but at the same time, we're lengthening that left hip down away from the shoulder. And again, maybe it feels better for you to go back and forth. Maybe it feels pretty good to just hold. But let's do one more round. So we'll rock it back. Find that half happy baby position. So the left thigh, left knee might even be on the floor or just getting closer to it. Maybe we're opening the right arm and expanding left leg out to the left. Right foot could heel toe wider right. The knee, the thigh may tip in. And let's gradually, slowly start to rock back to center. And one more time, maybe we're extending that left leg over to the right. Maybe we choose to expand the left arm long to the left. Let's bring it back to center. And as we find center, reach that left leg up And let's use that to slide the right foot into the strap. Let the left foot come down. And again, maybe there's just something pretty interesting about coming into the straight leg position on the back. A little different from our standing poses. Let the body acclimate. Letting the effects from the left side settle. And when you feel ready, we'll start to bend that right knee down towards that half happy baby. And we may just keep holding the strap. Some of us might prefer to hold the foot, but we'll keep the strap handy, knowing that we'll play with extending that right leg out to the side in a little bit. Breathing into right inner thigh. And perhaps we try it out, reaching that right leg out to the right. And the left arm maybe expanding, it doesn't have to. We might be lengthening that right hip down away from right shoulder, right armpit. And take your time, we'll come back into that half happy baby position. Now start to rock to the left. So as we tip to the left, we may be extending that left leg, or maybe not. We might keep the bend in the knee. We may be supporting the leg for now, for the time being. Maybe we're extending and rebending. We may be extending and holding. We may be extending the right arm. So these are just possibilities. Remember, we're coming through a couple more rounds, so there's no hurry to get to the deepest variation. Let's start to rock back onto the back, finding that half happy baby position. Full breath. We'll start to reach that right foot out to the right. And perhaps expand the left arm, just a possibility. We can have that right leg supported higher. And let's take our time, come back into half happy baby. And we'll start to rock back to the left, maybe keeping right knee bend, or perhaps reaching that right leg long, sending the right hip down away from right shoulder. And let's gradually come back into half happy baby. Remember those options with the left leg. Maybe you've already been exploring them. But next time we extend the right leg, notice left knee. Where are you placing it? Maybe it's straight up. Maybe you're leaning a little to the left. Maybe you're tipping a little into midline. Looking for your preferred location. We may be expanding that left arm. So let's, one more time, find that half happy baby. Tip it back over to the left. So we might be going for that full leg extension. Maybe we're taking the right arm up on the diagonal. Maybe we're bending an elbow. And let's rebend the knee. And as we start to come back to center, this time, let the right ankle cross on top of the left thigh. So we'll take the strap off of the right foot. We'll pull the right toes back towards the right knee, and we may find a little rock through the hips, a little side to side motion. We might hug the left thigh in. We might weave the hands around the back of that left leg. And perhaps we're even pressing that left heel up towards the ceiling. We might be finding a tip towards the left and bringing ourselves back to center. And we might flirt with that and just see how this feels through the right cheek. Tipping to the left, we might find a spot where we hold and wobble for a moment. Letting the knee bend, let the foot come down. Re-extend that right leg, let the foot land. Let's take the feet wide, let the knees tip in. When you feel ready for the second side, heel toe the feet in. Let's navigate left ankle on top of right thigh. And we may just find a little motion. It might be a little rock. Maybe we're drawing a figure 8. What feels right through your hips, through your sacrum on the ground. We might be rocking that right thigh into the chest. And maybe we try it out and put the right foot right back down. We might be holding on behind the hamstrings, or even reaching the sole of the foot up towards the ceiling, tilting the tailbone down. Now we can hold at center. We might play with that idea of a little movement side to side. We might find a spot kind of tipping over to the right. See how that feels. And let's release that, rock it back to center, landing the right foot, re-extend that left leg. Let the foot come back down to the ground, step the feet wide, let the knees tip in. Bring the arms wherever it feels instinctive to you, maybe overhead, and we may be arching the back and finding a little glide of the hips, a little shift of the hips side to side. Full breath. We may sigh it audibly out, resting at center. So let's take a moment here and rock both knees together in towards the chest and then tip over to the right side. We'll plant the left hand. I'm not mirroring at this moment. We're placing the right forearm on the ground, pressing down into the forearm, lifting the heart. So we're kind of in a side lean and a little tiny bit of rotation. Now we might take that further. We might press into the left hand, step your right hand more right. Lift the heart. So think cobra pose, finding some length in the front body as we twist. Now you might decide to move your right hand wider to the right. You might decide to bend the elbows. Maybe you kind of do some push-ups. Let's bring ourselves back to center and we'll just pivot to the other side. So we'll bring that second forearm, should be your left forearm, down to the ground, and the legs may pin you. We'll have that right hand planted, press into the forearm, lift the heart. We can stay here. We might start to find a little more lean, a little more rotation. So this side might be quite different. Take your time. Maybe we're pressing down into the right hand, taking left hand wider, finding that twist. Maybe there's a little wobble, maybe not. Maybe you're bending elbows, maybe not. And gradually bring those hands back in and just bring the legs forward. And we'll sit for a moment, let the eyes rest. Notice how the body is feeling. So that was already some pretty deep twisting. We might take it a little further, and we might use a bolster or folded blankets. So you might not, you might just use the ground. If you're using a blanket, we're doing a rectangular fold. And we'll put it across the mat. And your outer leg, that left leg, would be landing on it eventually. And I'll explain how we will get there in a moment. You might want to even higher than that. Maybe you're stacking a cushion on top of a blanket or just putting the cushion there. So you're choosing. It's a way to elevate the floor, to bring the floor up to you. We might roll back into our down face dog position. Now it's been a minute, but we may step that right foot in towards midline, let that left leg rise, draw the knee in towards the chest and cross that knee over to the right. Now this might be where we have those props, right, to land that outer leg on. We might rock the right foot back, and we can definitely keep bending that left knee. We may keep those right toes tucked. It's a bit of a strange position. The heel is pointing up to the ceiling. There's a lot of stretch in the toes. We don't have to go anywhere else. We might, like we did in the twist, open that left leg up out to the right. Let me see if I can get the foot back in the frame there. And then the hip, that up hip, the right hip, might be rolling down towards the floor. So these are just possibilities. We can absolutely stick with this. We don't have to go elsewhere. And then consider taking a moment bending both knees. Now, if you were in class last week, or maybe you watched the video, we played with coming to stand from the ground. And let's evolve that a little bit. So we might take that back leg foot. So it's your right foot, and we may step it in front of the left foot, left shin. Think of a spiral, a corkscrew, or a spiral staircase. We're going to spiral ourselves around. You can absolutely use blocks. You might make your arms longer, use blocks. We may rock back, drop the weight into the right foot, place your hands, there's a twist, over to the left, press down, and spiral up. So we could bring ourselves all the way up to stand from that spiral. But then we'll just step our feet back so that we're even. Place the hands on the ground, navigating back to dog. So we'll slide the left foot closer to the right. Let that right leg rise. Draw the knee in towards the chest and over towards that left elbow. And maybe we do it again, or maybe we're feeling ready to come down. So we're landing on our props or on the ground. The back toes may be tucked, the back heel trying to point straight up. And we can stay here, letting the body breathe. We might start to press that right foot over to the left, rotating the ribs a little to the right. Now, when you feel ready to come out of it, we may be bending that under knee, right knee, and just bringing the left knee towards being on top. We'll walk the hands back until we find that place where maybe we have the blocks under the hands, and we step the left foot in front of the right shin, right foot. So remember, we always have options. You can press down into the ground, into your blocks, tip it forward, and spiral staircase, climb all the way back up to stand. And we're bringing it back down to the ground. So we might step the big toes together. We may sink the hips and bend the knees, and we may reach back a little lower, a little deeper. Circle the arms high, tuck the ribs back. And as we exhale, forward fold. Take your time, absolutely no hurry. We may walk back right into a high plank. Unlock the elbows, wrap the elbows in. And we may hold because it's fun. If it's not fun, put your knees down. And we'll slowly, slowly come down to the belly, pointing toes, planting hands, heart rising. We might find a little rock, side to side. Press on back, child's pose. Let's slide the hands back. Roll on up to a seat. We'll glide the hips to one side, extending the legs forward. Send each sits bone back, rooting through the heels. We'll sit up tall. We're dorsiflexing the ankles, palms down. Heart is rising. We may be walking the fingertips forward, wrapping little toe sides of the feet back. The head may nod. Full breath. We may walk the hands back in. Scooch the hips forward so we have room to reach the hands back. Extend the arms, heart rising. Fingers, options to point back, out to the side, or at the hips. You might find those little shifts side to side, heart is rising. We may decide to slide the feet in. Watch the wrists, listen to the shoulders. So we might be pressing weight into the feet and into the hands, lifting the hips. Watch your head and anything that may be behind you. The head may drop back. Now, if it's fun for you, listen to your shoulders, listen to your wrists. We might shift forward. The heels may rise, getting into the thighs, getting into the shoulders. We are all different. Listen to your body. So we might find these little rocks, shift forward and back if it feels right for you. We'll very slowly release on down. Consider encircling your wrist. We may be self-massaging wrist and forearm. Trading to the other side, make sure we try both. We might find kind of a sticky spot where we pin and rotate. Pin and spin the forearm. We might just follow a little trail all the way down. We may tuck the ribs, the hands against the ribs or against the thighs, whichever feels best in your body. So we may find a couple of blocks and start to navigate back onto our back with the knees bent and feet grounded. We may find robot arms, elbows against the ground, palms face in like you could squish a loaf of bread or a yoga block between the palms, nose tip points up. The toes fan, the hips rise, reach forward through the knees. Fingertips may point at the heels. And then slowly release down. Consider soles of the feet together, knees out to the side. Back into our robot arm position, pressing into the little toe sides of the feet. The hips may rise. And gradually releasing back down to the ground and let the legs settle. Now this can be a super intense stretch in the hips and the inner thighs. You don't have to let it stay that way. You could grab those blocks, slide them under the knees, under the thighs. Remember the blocks have 3 settings, so you can go higher if you like. Please know that you are welcome to stay longer. If your body has landed in this position and it's thumbs up, that is what your body has been waiting for, stay a while. We may be heel toeing the feet wide and letting the knees roll in, pivoting heels out. We may be rocking the knees into the chest so that we can tip to one side. And we'll come up to a seat just long enough to set ourselves up for a supported back bend. And again, you can choose the props that work for you. It might be that you want to roll your mat up. It might be that we use another soft prop other than the mat, like a blanket or a towel, and we roll it up part way. So the thicker your roll, the more intense the upper back bend will be. So it doesn't have to be intense. We're not going for great intensity here. So you could use a roll. and place the base of your shoulder blades over the roll. Your armpits will be above the roll. You might use blocks. And with blocks, we would use one block as a pillow block, and that'll be a little higher, a level higher probably, than your shoulder blade block. Your shoulder blade block can be in this orientation or the other orientation, whichever feels best to you. So same thing, we'll finagle whichever prop you're choosing towards the base of the shoulder blades, the scapula there. And if you're using the block, find your pillow. Now, if you find that using your soft prop, a roll, your head's not on the ground, plug something in, put a pillow in place. We're not letting the head just hang out there, adding more tension to the neck. The knees could stay bent. If that's the case, maybe tip the knees in, feet wide. The legs may slide long across the ground. Watch out for water bottles and whatnot. We might bring the arms down by the side. Inviting the body to rest. Make any little prop adjustments needed so that the supported back bend will be sustainable for the next minute or so. So this is a longer hold. And you may be finding that this is the perfect spot, and you are welcome to stay. We may be deepening the breath. We may be brushing the thumbprints across the other fingerprints. We may slide each foot in, pointing the knees up towards the ceiling. Mindful of your props, very carefully tipping off your props to one side. Let's roll back down onto the back. And consider sliding a block underneath the hips. So the hips are now supported and you're letting the hips sink down onto the block. If you have low back discomfort, you probably will not enjoy extending the legs. Some of us might enjoy extending the legs with the prop under the hips. Another option if the low back is just a little sensitive would be to put a couple of props or maybe a bolster under the heels, so the heels are elevated too. We might just keep bending the knees if we have any sensitivity at all in the back. The backs of the hands may rest on the ground or on the belly. If we have a blanket or a big cushion, we might place that over the abdomen for the added weight. You are welcome to rest here as long as you like. The breath may be deepening. We may be bending knees, placing the soles of the feet to the ground, bringing movement into fingers, movement into toes. Reach down, find the block, let the hips rise and release. Rocking the thighs into the heart and tipping to rest on one side. We'll support ourselves up to a seat, absolutely no hurry. Maybe bring that second favorite leg on top or in front. We may slide a hand to the belly, a hand to the heart. Sealing our practice with sound. You are welcome to hum, to join me singing the sound Om. You are welcome to sing any sound that vibrates for you. Deep inhale. Om. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing this practice. Let me know if you have any questions.